can. Top left of your screen, you can see Queasy and Hen posturing for height. You know that's where they want to be once first moving pulls. And Trippin and Zrogy, who we've talked so highly of, another team that needs to hold on to their place in this game. Let's see what they were able to do earlier though. Some nice eliminations, capitalizing on desperate teams on that zone line. Oh, it's brilliant.
So good, and now they fly by 459 damage above 114 points. Those Elims will push them all the way up into 6th place. What a nice wall to put down too. Just absolutely amazing. And now we're in the 6th zone. 5 seconds before every storyline clashes inside the air. The majority of the lobby pulling zone. No one really in a bad spot, but this is the north side. This is where the mountains thrive. And we have a lot of terrain to cover. Tripper and Zrogy will get spicy, get hot, and stay on the move to keep their dreams alive. It's all about the top 8.
Yeah, let's not beat around the bush here. You don't want to get caught out. You don't want to choke in this final game, especially when you look like you're in such a great position. Stenner and Rayed staggering now, letting players get ahead of them as they take some shots because they know they got the web shooters to get ahead when needed. And that's what exactly they will do. Need to be careful though that they don't run into any other teams. You can see the builds around Stenner aren't his. You got to be careful, son. You don't want to run into a sticky situation as we've seen in previous games. Vino and Jodo on the bottom of your screen, they've actually went for height and they've taken it. One of the first opportunities they've had to do so. And what a time to do it when they are sitting in 10th looking to try and get into the top 8. And if they're going to do it from any position, it will be high ground.
Absolutely, but they'll have to take out the top POV right now. Stenna and Rayed still holding down 8th place overall, 115 points. They're 6 ahead of Vino on the bottom right. Our pocket pick right now, Thomas and Tayson, they're trying for big things and they actually go for the high ground take. They're 7 below, 27 actually. Storm Surge, 105 from Thomas though, to put them back above, and they're doing this while fighting for height. Where's Tayson? He's on the same layer now. Splash is thrown down, there's still Surge all the way down below. A big Spider-Man dive, but the webs won't hit anything on the wall. They actually go splat. Thomas then goes up straight for another big take. The other high ground still shooting forward. He doesn't even care. 97 points is up against Rifle and Mariah. Tayson slightly behind him. They're still in 15th place overall, challenging the 1st place holders of the lobby, and they don't have the fuel to get the job done.
Yeah, the 1st place team sitting up above on height. That's where they want to be to close things out. Thomas and Tayson, they committed just too many materials to that height take. And so now we can see the desperation will start to kick in. Tayson searching, hungry for eliminations on the back of the zone. But he still maybe has his eyes set on height. They still have some Spider-Man web shooter charges left. And so they will look up for height. Mariah is not safe. Thomas, though, needs to be careful. They've damaged him a bit. He's down to 16 HP, but he has time to get his shields up. This is everything for this team right now. Tayson just above him. They need to stay together if they have any hope of pushing their way on in. Joe was forced down as Vino goes as well. And so Thomas and Tayson now. Tayson actually going down. Anas will be the one to take him out. And so Thomas has to do it all alone if there's any single hope.
Absolute gridlock. It's Stenna and Rayed who are holding down 8th place, getting Elims, still surviving. It causes people to get put into a crunch. Joe's there with a big shot. It's just a 34, and the follow-up's not there either. At the same time, Joe's and Thomas' dreams ended for now in this qualifier, and we tune into the deal. 7th place overall, still holding down the line. Can he survive for as long as possible? A solo play, it's always extravagant. Inside the same box, he's just rat-a-tatted down. And his chance is solidified at 126, 130 for Tripper, though. He's still pushing the envelope forward. It's not over yet.
No, Matt Stowe, he's going to have to be dropped to one build by his teammates. Not going to cut the mustard whatsoever, but where they spot some players with them Stinger SMGs, anything is possible. And Pablo and Swag, the Flames boys, somehow taking height. They're in 11th. This game is huge for them. We've seen so many different teams taking a height, but these guys seem to be the final ones to do it, and that's what matters the most. They need to be the ones who close it out if they have any hope. Pablo reloading that SMG. He knows how much these eliminations will need in terms of their point threshold. 11th place is not going to be enough, and so he's going to go and take that fight. He knows he has to do everything in his power, and he's going to force that player down now. Needs to be careful, doesn't want to be too overzealous and overextend himself. But we know, Shayo, everything comes down to these final moments here.
11th, 1st, 2nd, and 15th, all in the fray still. Noah Riley has a chance. Pablo is looking for something, but he needs to get a majority of these eliminations. If anything, the Victory Royale. Andy finally down. Noah finds Queasy on the bottom side. still up in 11th so far. They need these eliminations. Big pump shot on the right side. He's looking for a little bit more. 2 elims only for him right now. 7 total for the squad. A nice 60 damage shot from Pablo. Switch over to the left. Look at low ground. Can't find much. Rifla does get chomped out. They're up towards just 10th place. Is it going to be enough? They need that win. The final drop, a few edits just away from possible qualification and glory. 10th overall for now. If they qualified, that is the big question, but they didn't get the VR overall. Tripper and Zragi were there too. They solidified their spot, it looks like, from their perspective, just getting elim after elim, staying inside the feed the entire time, staying active in that endgame too. What a nail-biting game 6 to close off EU.
It came down to the wire, Shio, and honestly, a lot of these teams now will be refreshing these leaderboards, trying to figure out where it is they came. Honestly, though, the Flames boy from out the top drawer really pulling back that comeback there, and we will have to wait and find out whether or not it was enough. Great job, though, to close out that game. Shio, it's been an absolute pleasure being able to break it all down with you. Flames, Pablo, and Swag will close things out in Game 6 of Qualifier 1. But guys, you ain't got to go too far to see more and more Fortnite. There is plenty more up this weekend as well. Thank you very much for joining me, Shai. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely. We have a lot more at the desk in just a bit. Thanks for watching. They'll break down exactly what happened in these 6 awesome games.
6 awesome games down, and of course getting to hang out with 2 awesome casters. Thank you boys so much. We do appreciate you. Of course, we have a set of analysts here, 2 awesome analysts as well, who will be breaking it all down. My goodness, I believe we just saw a qualifying run there, Reese, from Pablo and Swag. I mean, goodness, I say this literally every time. I feel like a broken record. I'm trying to find ways to change how I say this, but it always comes down to game number 6, right? Is always in that final game where just for some duos, they know this is it. Like, if I want to make it in the finals and I want people to respect us as a duo, we need to show up right now. And for Pablo and Swag, that's exactly what they put on full display for us today.
Yeah, we'll see once we get the qualified teams, we'll let you know exactly what actually ended up happening, who ended up doing what, but they absolutely fragged out. This is the second game they've managed to frag out. They got 9 eliminations total. Using that Spider-Man's web shooter to go up for height, you know when you're in this situation, when it is the final game of the tournament, you need to qualify. You got to make the plays that win those games, right? And they managed to pop off, like I said, with 9 eliminations at the same time. The victory royale, a huge game for them. You've got to think this has put them into the qualification.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a huge game. And these guys were sort of down in the dumpsters, you know. They were contested all day together by Lazen. And, you know, they did win out the majority of the time. And the last game to do it, man, you got to have veins of ice. That is ridiculous. But another team that I want to mention as well, unfortunately, this game we saw Thomas and Tayson going down very early on. You know, they're just not themselves today, unfortunately. I mean, if we're taking a look at the statistics, Thomas and Tayson, the lowest average eliminations in the top 20 before this game. And, you know, for them, you know, absolute frag-heavy duo, some of the best fighters in the game. Thomas HD's incredible aim we saw there in the mid-game. I don't know what this guy is on, but that AR tracking was ridiculous. And not getting enough eliminations today is just, you know, that's the bane of them.
Yeah, I mean, quite literally 0 this game, as we mentioned, right at the end, trying to do their best. This game, they were repeatedly, you could just see every single time they're looking back, they're looking up, right? Their focus is up onto the high ground. They were almost tunnel visioned on that. And in the last 2 games in particular, that was what obviously was their downfall. So I don't think that they will have qualified when we end up looking at the full teams who have, but I'm excited to see the guys who have.
Well, let's take a look. This is it. We're going to see the standings. Remember, top 8 auto-qualify, and we'll go right into finals. Everyone else will have to play for qualifier number 2. We take a look. Badil and Reason do squeak by. Look at the tiebreaker there, right? That victory royale making the difference. Refs Guard and Scram. Now, don't forget, they still earned series points. And coming in 9th is essentially like a first place when you kind of think about it in the grand scheme of things. So coming into next qualifier, they're going to be looking very strong. But Reese, you kind of talked about it before going into this game. Rifle and Marine, they just were doing so well all 6 games. And now kind of going into finals saying like, look, across these games, we held #1 spot. You don't want to land near us. You don't want to go head-to-head with us. If we end up going toe-to-toe, we will walk away the winners.
No, they got off spawn every single game, and we saw the confidence in them going for high ground in that final game. They were unbelievably happy with it. Like, they knew they went, like, they were going for that first place tournament slot with that high ground retake, and obviously they ended up in third there. Second, Hen and Queasy absolutely popping off as well. I'm sure they will be absolutely ecstatic about that. Congratulations to all top 8 teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to hurt a little bit there for the 9th team. I mean, it is basically guaranteed to make yourself towards semifinals and the heats, but getting that finals in this is just so easy. All of that pressure is unloaded on you. And unfortunately, just not making it there for those guys. But another two I want to mention is Raze and Phoenix. I mean, these guys, I think, are very unknown. They haven't had many final performances, and if they did make finals, they sort of struggled in them. But, you know, the absolute aggression coming out of them, I know that personally, how aggressive these guys are, because I know they're banned from every single practice server because of that aggression. But, you know, that's good enough for a finals lobby, so it's good enough for here.
There you go. And Pablo and Swag did make it in that 7th place, right? So once again, it just comes down to that last game, man. Sometimes these duos, they just know it's time to put our foot on the gas. We want to qualify, and we will. You do love to see it. Before we say goodbye, let's take a quick little peek here at our predictions, see how we did overall. You know, sometimes we just do really well. You know, sometimes, man, we do well. Sometimes we don't, Reese.
Nope. I mean, you were in 12th. Like, Aqua North 12th, not bad at all. I'll take the 2nd for myself. You know, it's a little bit lower than the standard I would normally go for. But you know what? It's day 1. I'm feeling rusty.
Yeah, I mean, Cammy and Teak, they were so close, and I know I'm mentioning that again, but they were so consistent today, but those last 2 games just not picking it up. Obviously getting pushed over by Trippin from Coney Crossroads as well. Just an unfortunate, but they did make it to the final, so that's good enough for me.
Yeah, and of course, obviously, Shy and Levin going with Tayson and Thomas HD. A strong pick. We have talked a couple times about them in those last 2 games in particular. And honestly, for like Tayson, I am not surprised. Like, I kind of said this at the top of the show. Like, these guys show up when it matters, right? With semifinals to qualify to finals as well. Historically, in some of these seasons, like, Tayson has not been great when it comes to the qualifiers. Chapter 2, Season 7 was a particular great example when then they came into the semifinals, absolutely destroyed, winning 2 of the 6 games from the biggest performances that we've ever seen, and then went on to place 3rd in the finals. So right now, like, just because they've not managed to do super well and qualify through in qualifier number 1 does not mean we're not going to see something dominant when it comes to the end.
And it usually pertains, I think, to draw spot as well. I mean, these guys, they always contest the biggest and the best draw spots on the map. And today it was Covert Canyon. But with this many teams landing there, it's a little bit tough to alpha those draw spots. And that's basically the name of the game for Tayson. He cares about that drop because he doesn't care about heats. He doesn't care about qualifying to the finals because he's that confident. He knows he's going to make it there regardless because he's the absolute best sometimes. And all he cares about is just getting that draw spot on Conf Grand Finals. And, you know, it's going to work out in the end, hopefully for him.
I mean, hopefully, right? I mean, yeah. I think there's still quite a bit of names that we didn't even see participate today, right? People did not even make it into round number 3. And now that we've kind of pulled 8 away from the pool, we've said, okay, you guys have earned yourselves a spot on the bus to finals. That means in next qualifier 2 on Sunday, don't forget, we might have a different subset of players. We might have players like the team that came in 9th. They might come right back, right? Refsguard and Scram, they missed that qual, but they might come back and say like, okay, we're here now, and that top 8 ain't here no more. We're free to kind of operate. This also means new POIs are open up, drop spots are open up. There's still so much more that can unfold over 2 qualifiers, and of course, we can't forget semifinals the week after that. So there's still quite a bit to play for here.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually think, just quietly going back for a second there, you know, we're talking about teams who should worry about that drop spot. Joe and Vino, obviously, we saw the battle going back and forth between Drophamson. They ended up placing 15th. And in that final game, we saw that they could have almost had a run at it, but they also went down 15th in the match. So 15th in the match, 15th over on the leaderboard. They're contesting them off spawn. And if that, again, they're uncontested in that qualifier 2 on Sunday, and they manage to make it through to the finals, it's like, now you've got a battle on your hands that's going week after week, and again, that drop spot may not be secure for the finals.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of contested spots as well, I mean, DKS and Bad Cypher coming out of triple contested Tilted Towers. I mean, this is probably Benji and Savage's worst nightmare, to have a team that contests you and that you've been fighting for the entire season, already guaranteed the slot in the finals. That's going to hurt a little bit. So, I mean, maybe we'll see some spiciness next week, and we'll see some other teams in Tilted qualify as well. But for sure, it's going to be contested in finals 100%.
Absolutely. There's still so much untapped potential as well here in Chapter 3, Season 1, right? I still think there's so much that we have yet to discover. And a lot of there's things that these duels are kind of keeping up their sleeve, right? They're waiting to say there's strategies, things we have to implement, but we want to wait until semifinals. We want to wait until either that or finals until we start breaking out some of these very secret little strategies they may have. Before we say goodbye, let's take a look at our broadcast schedule. If you enjoyed what you saw today, don't forget we have other regions as well. NA East, NA West later on in the day. Today specifically, remember we're not back tomorrow, but we're back on Sunday, February 20th. A similar time, rather, not the same time, a little bit earlier on in the day for some of you. And then, of course, next weekend, you've got semifinals. That'll be 3 straight days of Fortnite action, all culminating in the following week after that. 2 weeks from today, March 5th and 6th, we'll have the finals. Axe of Champions on the line, $1.3 million here in Europe. So make sure you stick around because there's gonna be crazy FNCS to say the least. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Don't forget NA East will be up later on in the day. Different crew, so make sure you guys stop by, say hello to them, and cheer on some of your favorite players. Legends Landing. We'll see you guys on Sunday. And as always, we'll see all of you up on that battle bus.
Bye.